I have done the math. And we have plenty of money to be able to fund a $1,000 dividend for every American adult.
Taking back the cross. No regret in what it cost. Got our freedom. Come on. Got our heaven. Let there be.
If my husband, Andrew Yang, is president, he'll fight for Medicare for all with mental health coverage and for $1,000 a month for every American, including caregivers, because Andrew values what we do, not just for our families, but for our nation.
I'm Andrew Yang, and I approve this message.
So if you're a parent, you've had this thought, maybe you've been afraid to express it, and it is this: our kids are not all right. They're not all right because we're leaving them a future that is far darker than the lives that we have led as their parents. We are going through the greatest economic transformation in our country's history, the fourth industrial revolution, and it is pushing more and more of our people to the side. We talk as if Donald Trump is the cause of all of our problems. He is not. He is a symptom, and we need to cure the disease. The move was to go to D.C., talk to our leaders, and say technology is ripping us apart. Immigrants are being scapegoated, our kids are being left behind, and the American dream that my parents came here to find is dying before our eyes. And the people in Washington, D.C. had nothing for this. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to talk about an issue they don't think they have a solution for. I'm not running for president because I've fantasized about being president. I'm running for president because, like many of you here in this room tonight, I'm a parent and a patriot, and I have seen the future that we're leaving for our kids, and it is not something I'm willing to accept. We need to create a new way forward for our people. If you want to join us in rewriting the rules of the 21st century economy, go to yang2020.com and make it so that we can look our kids in the eyes and say to them, and believe it, your country loves you, your country values you, and you will be all right.
Yang is resonating with guys out there who feel forgotten. Why?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons why I wrote this piece. I started seeing a lot of different men with a lot of different ideologies, all having this yang, shaped hole in their heart. And one thing that I think he's really tapping into, and one thing that I talk about in the book, is that we're really in the midst of a man crisis in America. There's a definitional void for a lot of men. A lot of men want to define themselves with positive things. They want to be providers. But in a lot of ways, our economy, in a lot of ways, our political system makes it harder for them to be able to define themselves in those ways. And so Andrew Yang, is really able to tap into something that we don't often talk about, which is male pain. He doesn't just talk about it, but he connects male pain to some of the biggest problems in our society. He connects it to rising levels of suicide. He connects it to the rise of online hate groups. He connects it to domestic violence. And Andrew Yang is really offering men a solution.
Our tech companies that are paying nothing or next to nothing back into our country. This is what we must solve for, New Hampshire. We have record high corporate profits in this country right now. What else are at record highs? Suicides, drug overdose, substance abuse, stress, financial insecurity, student loan debt, medical bankruptcy, mental illness, depression. What are at record lows in the United States of America right now? Getting married, having a child, starting a business for a young person. We are following GDP and corporate profits off a cliff, New Hampshire. They're leading us the wrong direction. I know how off base our economic measurements are because of my own family. My wife is at home every day with our 2 boys, one of whom is autistic. How much is her work valued at in our market economy? Evelyn gets a 0, as does every other stay-at-home parent in our country. How about caregivers taking care of ailing loved ones? Also 0. How about volunteers and activists trying to make things better in our communities? How about coaches and mentors investing in our kids? How about most artists? And increasingly in New Hampshire, this is a problem you should care deeply about. How about local journalists? It is very, very hard to have a democracy function when people don't actually know what's going on in their community. These are the things we claim to value most in our lives: our children, our families, our community, our democracy, and they're getting zeroed out one by one by one. That is what we must reverse on Tuesday. We have to let our fellow Americans know that economic value and human value are not the same things, and that we each have intrinsic value as Americans, as people, and as owners and shareholders of the richest country in the history of the world. New Hampshire, I am not running for president because I dreamt about being president. Those were not the conversations in the Yang household. My parents were not like, you're gonna be president someday. They were more like, you're terrible, go clean your room. I'm running for president because like so many of you here tonight, I'm a parent and a patriot. I have seen the future that lies ahead for our kids, and it is not something I'm willing to accept for them. They deserve better, and we must give them better starting on Tuesday. New Hampshire, Donald Trump is our president today because he had a very simple, powerful, compelling message for our country. He said he was going to make America great again. What did Hillary Clinton say in response? America is already great. You remember that? That response did not work for many Americans because the problems in our communities are all too real. We have to acknowledge their depth and severity and reality, but then we need real solutions that will actually move our country. What were Donald Trump's solutions? Build a wall, turn the clock back, bring the old jobs back. New Hampshire, you know we have to do the opposite of these things. We have to turn the clock forward. We have to accelerate our economy and society to rise to the real challenges of the 21st century, like climate change. The ideal candidate for this job, New Hampshire, because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. Thank you all very much. Let's make America think harder and move this country forward on Tuesday. Let's give our kids a future we will actually be proud to leave to them. Thank you, New Hampshire. I love you.